Welcome to r/MaliciousCompliance, where we share stories of people conforming to the letter, but not the spirit of a request. And today we have 4 great stories, so subscribe, hit the like button, and let's begin. The first story. In a small, managerless scrub store, employees navigate a world of don't give an SH policies, learning through acts of malicious compliance. The second story. New boss enforced hourly work and abolished flexibility in an IT department. Chaos ensued with system failures and overtime, leading to the boss's removal. The third story. Parking at my luxury hotel security job became a nightmare when permits were required, leading to a creative and victorious game of permit swapping with management. The first story is when the company takes a shot of don't give an SH. I'm here with a story from the days when I was in a store that sold scrubs, way back in 2007. I consider this one of the most facepalm-worthy stories I have. This job lasted about 9 months, and it was in a small in-mall store tucked in a distant corner of a mall. A single person could run the store alone, assuming they were cool with not getting any breaks. I came in, did my interview, and was told by the manager to come in Wednesday for my first day of work. On my very first day on the job, the 2 employees looked at me, looked at each other, and said that the one manager in the store, also my interviewer, had quit on Monday. I thought this was puzzling because I had called on Monday morning and she had confirmed my start date. So somewhere between Monday morning and close of business day, the manager had somehow decided to quit and walked out, never to return. The employees were muddling along as best as they could with no manager. I should have walked the hell away, but if I had, I wouldn't have this lovely story for you folks. My paperwork hadn't been processed. I was not in the system. With some effort, we got me input as a new employee to the best of our understanding. Again, I should have left. I did not. I was an idiot back then, that's all I can say. Turns out I was employee number 5 for the whole place, which granted was small enough that we could handle it. Training consisted of whatever my fellow employees could teach me on the fly. Well, I got folding done fine. I could do cashier work just fine. I could close out the till, take it to the deposit ATM, and lock down the store. Cool. Awesome. Bare minimum knowledge. But heck, it kept the place running. On Sunday, I learned the process of submitting hours. Awesome. Things are ridiculous but tolerable, right? Right? Nope. Read on, and abandon all hope. Please note that the timeline isn't perfectly linear here. Arrival of important muckety-muck. A woman walks into our store, dressed to the nines and looking all formal. She starts to head into the back. Me. I'm sorry, ma'am, but that's for employees only. Woman. I am the important muckety-muck. I don't remember whether she's a district manager, regional manager, or some random schmuck off the street. It's been too long. All I know is that she was supposedly the higher power of our larger area. I asked for some of her time, and explained that it's been a month since I started, and I haven't gotten a paycheck yet, and we don't have a manager. She goes into the system, fixes my status, does an inspection, then wanders out again. She didn't leave her contact information, and she didn't say anything about our lack of a manager. I did start getting my paychecks then, so that was nice. Important muckety-muck leaves. But we're still rudderless in the rapids. I got the idea to call our sister store, a store listed in a Rolodex on the counter, and ask for a manager. Sister store manager. Hello? Me. Hello, I'm an employee in mall location and we're in a bit of trouble. Our one and only manager quit and we have no idea what to do. Could you please give us the number of important muckety-muck so we can call for help? Sister store manager. No. Me. Excuse me? Sister store manager. I said no. It's not my job to manage my store and your store too. Me. Ma'am, I'm not asking you to manage my store. I just need the phone number. Sister store manager. You lazy employees need to figure it out for yourselves. And she hangs up on me. Well, we're all managerless. Our important muckety-muck has vanished into the ether, calls to the next nearest authority figure to get us no result, and we're all just functioning as one tight-knit coworker community because, we're all that's there. Now, if you know anything about what it takes to run a store, you might have realized some key concerns already. Let's just get through the things I knew about and struggled to sort out. I'm positive that I'm missing things and that there were massive mess-ups that I was never aware of. Stores are allotted a set number of staff hours by a nebulous, mysterious company department that handles such mysterious, nebulous things. That's sarcasm, by the way. Malicious compliance. What do? Well, she said to figure it out for ourselves, right? We have no way to contact this mysterious department, and none of us have any knowledge whatsoever on how to find and/or know what our allotted hours were. So allotted store hours are ignored. With phone calls and a powwow, we 5 peons figure out our own scheduling, breaks, and coverage needs. It was a blessing and a half that 2 of us were flexible enough to be able to come in whenever, so the other 3 with time constraints and availability limits were covered. We have figured out how to keep everyone's breaks covered while juggling availability. Let's hear a round of applause for the poor untrained peons. 2. How to receive shipments? We get regular delivery of product for the entirety of those 9 months, from what I assume was an automatic ordering system based on our digital inventory, and some distant shipping decisions from higher up based on fashion trends, holidays, and this store gets this much good stuff. Malicious compliance. What do? Well, she said to figure it out for ourselves, right? We had no idea how to input an invoice. I'm sure there was a barcode on the invoice to scan, but none of us knew where in the system to go in order for it to be on the right screen so that scanning the barcode would do some good. So we were forced to just open the boxes and put it out to keep the shelves from going bare. No inventory correction was done for 9 months. 3. The fluorescent lights start going out. We call the mall management, but they're pretty much useless too. They told us it was our problem to replace the lights. Malicious compliance. What do? Well, she said to figure it out for ourselves, right? So we do nothing. We don't even know how to replace them. We don't know how to order them for the store. We don't even have a ladder that would let us reach the lights. So even if we took, i.e. literally stole money out of the till to pay for the lights, we couldn't climb up there to install them anyway, even if we did figure out how to replace these fragile copies of a lightsaber. So the lights get progressively dimmer in our store as they go out one by one over the course of the 9 months. Eventually, customers start having to change in the dim stalls, coming out and using a mirror outside because they can barely see. When a customer, surprisingly they were all at abnormal levels of being patient and understanding, finally sought to complain, I said please do. The customer was sent with an itemized list of complaints and the only phone number we could offer, which was sadly the useless manager's number. I can only assume the customer complaint was shunted like everything else. Important Muckety Muck arrives. It's been 5 months since Important Muckety Muck last arrived on the scene, got me in the system and disappeared. Important Muckety Muck comes wandering in, looks around and goes, "Good Lord, it's dark in here." I bit my tongue till it nearly bled to hold back a loud and emphatic "da-doy." Instead, with a sickly sweet voice, I smile at her and say, "I know. I'm so sorry, but we don't have a manager, and have no idea how to replace the lights, or how to pay out money to buy them ourselves. Plus, we don't know how and don't have a ladder." Important Muckety Muck frowns, taps some keys on the register, takes money out and leaves. She comes back with a ladder and a bunch of fluorescent lights, and then lectures one of my coworkers on how to replace the lights. I remind her that it's been 5 months, and we haven't scanned in an invoice in all that time. She says don't worry about it, we'll take care of it later. I ask her for her phone number so I can call her if there are problems. She tells me I don't need it and walks out. Important Muckety Muck leaves. 3.5. Store repairs. We have exactly zero knowledge on what to do if anything goes wrong. So of course that's when something goes wrong. A pipe cracks in the ceiling, resulting in a waterfall through the ceiling tiles. Frantic store arrangement, a plastic bin full of scrubs being dumped out on the floor and placed under the crack. Not really malicious compliance here. We place a call to the mall's office, who could hear the pattering of water over the line and sent a repairman right away. Problem fixed. Simple and relatively painless. I have no idea who paid for that or where the money came from. After 9 months, a brand new manager came in. Not because we kept saying we needed one, but to the other non-malicious compliance related issues. The new manager was the end of everyone's stint at that store. Manager. Now I know you all know what you should be doing, so I don't see why you haven't been working according to company standards before now. Us. How could we? Manager. Don't give me that. I know you all read the handbook. Us. Handbook? Manager. This. She pulls out a key that I've never seen before, unlocks a drawer that has been locked and inaccessible since I started, and pulls out company handbooks, which should have been part of the hiring process. Cue blank stare. Manager. And you should have seen the company video. Blank stare. Then I say, how? We did not have a TV or a player except for a recordable VHS collection and a monitor, which are part of the bloody security system that we use, mystery of mysteries, to record security tapes 24/7. In order to be trained by a proper manager, she would have to eject the security tape and play the company video on the security monitor, leaving gaps in the security footage. But that's okay. Only 7 VHS tapes existed, so when Saturday finished, Monday was then recorded over the top of the previous Mondays. Yes, in 2007. This was our technology, and it was recorded over and over again for years this way. We were all gone within a month, and all new staff was hired. All of them were manager's friends. My one drop of pleasure is that manager had inherited the malicious compliance mess, and her friends had to help her fix it all. I learned a hell of a lot from that. most especially about how the big red flag at the beginning should end it. The next story is the case of the hourly IT workers. I worked in IT at a large non-technical company. As is normal in IT, there were crises, patches, and new software installs where it was all hands on deck for 16 hours, and other times when everything was humming along and there was not a lot of work to do. Old boss understood this well. When we had to work late into the evening, he was fine with us coming in late the next day, leaving early, or even if a couple people didn't come in at all, as long as we rotated who got to stay home, so that there was some coverage. We were all salaried exempt, but overall the hours were fair despite the occasional very, very long days. New boss comes in from a non-IT background and sees this system and decides everyone will be hourly, and worse, work set hours. If we were 10 minutes late, we had to use 10 minutes of PTO or be dock pay for the time, rather than just staying 10 minutes late. He also declared there would be zero overtime. This worked for about a week. It was slow and the people who would normally leave an hour early had to just sit at their desks and wait to clock out. Then the first major system issue happened where the email server crashed. We all punched out at 5 and went home. System stayed down until the following morning. Well, Big Boss comes down and wants to know why it took so long to bring the email system back and how it hurt the business. New boss mumbles something about no staffing in the evening. Big Boss says it's never been a problem before. New boss tells us from that point on, when something breaks we stay to fix it. Overtime starts piling up. Big Boss asks about a budget. Several of us on the team decide to be brave and tell Big Boss what's going on, and ask if things could just return to the way they were. Shortly after, an email is sent out saying new boss has decided to leave to take on another opportunity, i.e. was fired, and that the IT department was returning to salary exempt. The third story is parking at my work is a nightmare. I'm an overnight security guard. I work 7 p.m. to 7 a.m. most nights. I'm with a company that has contracts with other companies for security, usually hotels, apartment complexes, clubs, etc. For this one particular site I work at 90% of the time, the parking is terrible. It's a luxury hotel and the parking garage is nowhere near as accommodating as it should be. The hotel has valet and a restaurant on the top floor. The parking garage is only 2 floors, maybe 100 spots for all employees and hotel restaurants and guests. They recently made it so that roughly a 1/4 of the parking garage is reserved for employees, which is nowhere near enough. They also made it so you need a parking permit to park there. If you don't have a permit, you get towed. One warning allowed via sticker on your car. The garage is also valet only for non-employees. Only other option is to pay to park in the street. Personally, I have 3 cars, not counting my SOs that I drive on occasion. The parking permit lists your car's year, make, model, color, and license plate number. My boss told me that the permits are transferable between cars, but they will come and ask you why the permit does not match the car. My boss told me to say, well, boss's name told me that the permits are transferable between cars, and this is the car I drove today. Also, I asked them for permits for all my cars to save time, and they said every person only got 1 permit. I was also told that they have to check every time the permit does not match, whether they know the car or not. Cue malicious compliance. The day I received my permit, I continued to drive a different car every day. One of my 3 cars, my SO's car, my mom's car, her boyfriend's car, every car I was able to drive, I drove to work. After a while, management was starting to get upset about it. I gave them the same answer every time. I told them, well, my boss said they're transferable, and this is the car I drove here today. After about a month and a half of this, I came in one day to my office and there it was in all its glory. A stack of permits for every single car I ever drove to work. Each with their year, make, model, color, and tag number. Work 0, OP 1. Subscribe, click the like button if you want to support the channel. Thank you for watching.